It has 11 electoral votes, and over the last few elections has become one of the closest swing states when it comes to actual vote percentage of the presidential election and the Senate races as well. I won't be covering the Senate races too much in this video. That'll be for another time, but I will just mention it very briefly at the end. But today's video, I'm focusing on the state of Arizona and whether or not Donald Trump will be able to win the state, flipping it from Joe Biden in 2020, or if Joe Biden will narrowly be able to hold on to Arizona. And I'm going to be going through the map of Arizona itself and kind of just taking a look at where things stand at this moment. So, for starters, Arizona's 11 electoral votes. For a long time, especially in the early 2000s, Arizona was a very Republican state, often voting for the Republican nominee by at least 10 points or more. Both Romney and McCain won it by 10 points or close to 10 points. Only in 2016, President Trump was able to beat Hillary Clinton in Arizona, but he only won it by about 4 points or so, which could have been a potential sign that things were getting a little bit closer. Arizona was thought to be a state that was a Republican state, but slowly starting to trend towards the Democratic side and into the toss-up category. And then in 2020, Joe Biden was able to upset Trump and win the state of Arizona. It came as somewhat of a surprise, but not as big of a surprise as, say, Georgia going Democrat, but Arizona's slow trend to the Democratic side was expected, but more so for 2024 or 2028. So 2020 may have been a bit quicker, but nonetheless, a very interesting development in Arizona. And I want to do the video in Arizona today because Arizona's 11 electoral votes may prove to be very, very important for President Trump's pathway to victory in the 2024 presidential election. As I've done in a few videos now, if you watched them before, I think President Trump's easiest pathway to victory involves winning back Arizona, winning back Georgia, and then winning one of the Rust Belt states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Wisconsin. I think Arizona and Georgia are two states that, of all the toss-up states, have the longest history and record of voting Republican. And if Trump is able to win over some voters that maybe did not turn out for him last time, or voted for Biden and maybe regret that choice, him being able to flip them in Arizona, all the polls suggest that he's at the very least leading in Georgia right now. So if Trump could win these two states, and then all he would need to do is pick off one of the three Rust Belt states he won in 2016. So Georgia is very much an important state to Donald Trump's pathway to victory. However, it could also be very important for Joe Biden's pathway to victory. Because if Biden were to win Arizona, and maybe he could pick off a state like Pennsylvania, well then if he wins Michigan, he's the president of the United States again. Which means, if Trump were to lose Arizona and Pennsylvania, Trump would have to win Michigan and Wisconsin to have a good chance of winning the presidency. And then if he wins Georgia, Trump wins the presidency. So, Arizona may, depending on how other states vote, could actually play spoiler for Trump and give Biden a victory. Of course, these are all just different scenarios. We won't know what actually happens until election night. But Arizona could play a very sneaky, important role in how the 2024 electoral map plays out. So enough with that. Now into the vote county by county of Arizona itself. Joe Biden won Arizona in 2020 by 49.4% to 49.1% for Trump. 0.3%, 0.3, very, very close. About 11,000 votes or so was the margin of victory for Biden over Trump. And I have the other maps pulled up as well, but you can also see over here the margins of victory were +9 in 2008, +9 in 2012, and then +4 in 2016. So very consistent for McCain and Romney, started getting smaller for Trump, and then Biden was able to eke out a victory in Arizona. So how did this happen? Well, I will say the good thing about Arizona when it comes to analyzing the state is the counties of Arizona are actually pretty big, so it's relatively easy to see where the Democratic votes are. You have smaller counties like Apache County, which is a big Democratic county. Cochino County, I believe it's pronounced, big Democratic county. But again, 44,000 votes for Biden, 23,000 votes for Biden. They're not like super small, but they're not exactly big either. Santa Cruz County, same thing, strong Democratic base for Biden, but not that many voters. The big reason Arizona flipped for Biden was all about winning Maricopa County and the margins in Pima County. These two counties are the biggest population counties in the state. And as I'm going to show you in a second, Maricopa County has been very, very pivotal in which candidate wins, who wins the state. And let me show you what I mean by that. When Trump won in 2016, again, he won it by about 4% or so, he won Maricopa County 47.7 to 44.8. So he won this county by about 3 points. And he won statewide by a little bit over 3 points, under 4 points, like 3.5, 3.7 points. So Maricopa County is very important. It's also where most of the people in Arizona live. I mean, look at the raw totals of votes in 2016. 747,000 for Trump, 702,000 for Clinton. Go back to 2020. Higher turnout election, some of the highest turnout we've seen in a very long time. Biden got over 1 million votes in Maricopa County. Trump got just under it with 995,000. That county's population has definitely expanded. A lot more people in that county. And I don't see a reason why population growth would slow at all in Arizona, in Maricopa County. So for Trump to win, I think he either needs to win Maricopa County or make it very, very close. Because look, he lost it by about, let's do a quick math here, 45,000 votes or so he lost it by. Trump only lost the state to Biden by 11,000 votes. So Maricopa County, Trump doesn't even have to win it. It would be better if he did, but even if he can just bring that margin of 45,000, if he can bring it like down to maybe 10,000 or 20,000, he'll have enough votes to make up that gap likely if these numbers were to hold constant and win the seat. Of course, it's not always that simple. Every election is different. Turnouts are always different. And overall percentage of people showing up is different. 2020's vote totals was very high. I personally think the vote total will be lower in 2024 for a variety of reasons, but Trump really needs to make Maricopa County a priority if he wants to win Arizona. And also the county of Pima County, which is where Tucson is, not as big as Maricopa County, but next to that, probably the biggest population center in the state. This county as well, Pinal County, is more Republican county that will be one of Trump's biggest pockets of votes, but it's relatively small compared to Pima and Maricopa. Biden got 58.6% of the vote. Trump got 39.9%. So let's compare this back to 2016. 53.3% for Hillary, 39.7% for Trump. So when you look at it, Trump's vote totals here were actually pretty much the same in Pima County. The only difference was Biden was able to make up 5% of the vote. And again, look at the numbers. 304,000, 207,000. Now go to 2016. 224, 167,000. A lot more votes came in 2020 in these two counties, and that was enough, very narrowly, only by about 11,000 votes or so, 0.3%, but it was enough to upset the margin Trump has and win the state with 49.4% of the vote. Neither candidate got a majority of the vote, which is very important to note, which should give Trump optimism that even though Biden won last time, he did not get over 50. So there's still a good path for Trump to get there if he can do better in Maricopa and Pima. Now, I also, just for perspective, I want to show the 2022 governor's race, because this one is actually relatively similar to the 2020 map. And I just want to show you, this is an example of a Democrat getting over 50% and where the differences may have been. So Katie Hobbs, the Secretary of State who got elected governor, she won Maricopa County 51.2 to 48.8. And if you do the math there, that's about 790 minus 752. Let's do some quick math here. I don't want to get this wrong. That's about 38,000 votes or so. That's the margin. And now let's look at the total margin of the vote. 287, 270, 17,000 votes. Again, Maricopa County, the Republican to win now in Arizona, if all things stay constant, does not even need to win Maricopa County. But that margin needs to be smaller. Like, it needs to be, again, just making the point. Trump lost it, 50.3, 48.1, 2.2%. Now we go to Lake versus Hobbs, 51.2. So again, just want to get the math because I want to get this right for you. 51.2 minus 48.8, that equals 2.4. So Lake actually lost his county by 0.2 more than Trump did. For a Republican to win in Arizona, they need to be losing this county by like 1% or less if they're going to lose it and still win the state. They can't lose Maricopa County by 2 points and expect to win Arizona. It'll be very, very close. The election will definitely be close. But if this margin gets any bigger for the Democrats in Maricopa County, with Pima County being as blue as it is, it's very hard to imagine a Republican winning Maricopa County. And I'm just going to show you some past results that I kind of think puts this in perspective. Maricopa in 2012 for Mitt Romney. Romney won at 55 for 43. Of course, 2012 was 12 years ago now. This map is going to be definitely outdated and not translated at all to 2024. But I'm showing you. Romney won the state by 9 points. He won in this county by 12. Pima County is a very important role in determining who will be the winner of the state of Arizona. And I want to look at the 2018 governor's race with Doug Ducey. He won by about, 14% or so. How did he do in Maricopa County? Again, he won it by almost 14 points. Very, very big win in Maricopa County. If Maricopa County is going red, the Republican is almost all certainty going to win this state. If Maricopa County is going blue, like it did in 2020, the Democrat is at very least favored to win the state. And then you have to look at what's the margins of the vote percentage in Maricopa County. If it's blue, my gut is telling me the Democrats at very least in play and probably is going to win the state. But if that 50.3, if it goes below 50%, if say Biden gets like 49.5% and Trump's able to get 49% in Maricopa County, even though Biden's winning it, that vote margin may just be enough for Trump to eke out a very narrow victory. So Maricopa County is definitely one to watch. Pima County, it has a big percent of Democratic votes, but the vote totals I've gone through the last few maps are actually very consistent with what they look like. Trump and the Republicans are almost always bordering around like 40%. 39.9 in 2020, 39.7 in 2016. Lake got 39.4. Romney, let's go down to Pima County. Romney actually got 46.3. So Romney did much better here. But again, this is... Oh, no. Pina or Peanut? Let me make sure I got this right. I don't want to get the wrong one. Pima County. Yes. Okay. So let me go... Pima. Yep, Romney got 46.3%. So that won't happen again. There's a lot more Democratic votes in that county now. But still, definitely worth noting. How did Ducey do? Ducey got about 47.5%. Again, it's kind of unrealistic to ask Trump to outperform these numbers, but still, nonetheless, definitely something to keep an eye on. But I would more Maricopa County is where you're watching for if you're watching for Arizona on election day. Now, it would be disingenuous not to mention some of the other counties, but they are relatively small. Mojave County will be a big Republican county, tens of thousands of votes there for Trump over Biden in 24. La Paz County, much smaller, only a few thousand votes here, but Trump will win it big. Yuma County, again, this is more of a swing county that is kind of like the state is Republican, but it's trending left a little bit, but a few tens of thousands of votes here. I don't know if it'll be enough to switch the election. It was actually very close in 2016, but I will say this. If Trump is losing Yuma County, he's probably not doing too well in Maricopa, and then he's probably not winning Arizona, but Yuma County should be red, seeing as Trump won it last time by 6 points, but if it's not red, that could be a problem for Trump. Pinal County, a bigger Republican county that's got some suburban areas outside of Phoenix. This is going to be the biggest Republican basket of votes, where they're going to make up potentially some of that margin a little bit that's lost in Pima County. But it's going to be not as big as Pima or Maricopa, which is why I can't stress the importance of Maricopa County enough if a Republican wants to win. Cochise County, again, tens of thousands of votes. Small, but it'll be a big Trump win. Greenlee County, very small, but Trump will win it big. Graham County, again, small, but Trump will win it. Arizona is very much like a lot of other states where the smaller Republican areas all go red. It's all smaller population, a lot of rural land. But the numbers will kind of even out for Trump and give the Republicans an early lead in the state. But you got to watch the major population centers for the Democrats. That's where a lot of the Democratic support will be coming from. Navajo County, again, few tens of thousands of votes. Relatively close percentage-wise, but Trump will probably win it. Apache County, a few tens of thousands of votes. Biden will probably win that on election day without much hassle. And then Cochino County, back to this one. Few tens of thousands of votes. Biden will probably win this on election day as well. So that's just a quick breakdown of the map I did of Arizona. I just want to finish off the video by going through what some of the polls are right now. And while doing this, I actually noticed something very interesting. So Trump is currently up in the polls over Biden in Arizona, 48.6% of the vote to Biden's 43%. Like I did in the past few videos, what's the good news? What's the bad news? Well, the good news, obviously, for Trump is that Trump is leading, and it's by 5.6%. That is very good news for him. And Trump is actually, I believe, doing better in Arizona when it comes to higher vote percentage than some other states. I believe like 48.6%, I think is higher than Nevada and Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania. So that's good news for Trump. The bad news, and like I've mentioned before, Trump needs to get over 50%, and for honestly any winning candidate does, for me to really feel solid that, okay, they pretty much got this state. If there's under 50%, there's always going to be a small chance the losing candidate can pull an upset out of nowhere. Kind of like we saw in 2020 with Biden, but look at the vote margins here. Biden was leading with 47.9% in the average. Trump got 47. The numbers were off itself. 49.4 ended up being for Biden, 49.1 for Trump. But look at the margins. 0.9 in the average, 0.3 is what it ended up being. Within almost half a percentage point of being correct, and it picked the correct winner. So technically, even though the Arizona polls were off on the numbers, the margin of victory was not all that far off. Of course, it was off by 0.6, but I kind of feel like you're nitpicking at that point. It was close. They guessed the right candidate, and the margins wasn't drastically far off. So now let's look at 2016. Trump was leading in the polls by 4 points. The numbers were off again, but the margin was 3.5, again within half a percentage point. I actually think Arizona is a state where you can pretty much confidently say that Trump, if he's up by 5 points or 5.6 on election day, I at very least could see him winning somewhere within 5 points or 4 points or so, because I actually think the polls in Arizona are more reliable than I initially thought, at least based on the last two presidential elections. I also want to show quickly one potential problem for Trump, and that is that Republican Kari Lake, who Arizona has a very, very hotly contested Senate race, which I'm sure I'll be covering in a future video at some point, and he's been polling actually much better than Kari Lake. At the same time, where Trump is up by 5 points, Gallego is up by 5 points in the state. So what's the contrast here? Because they're running on the same ticket. Obviously, Trump, and there's not going to be many Trump Gallego voters or Biden Lake voters. So I think it would be more likely whoever wins the state probably wins the Senate race as well. I can't really see much of a disparity between Trump and Lake, seeing as they're both like closely aligned and very much the same in a lot of political issues. But it's very interesting when we go back to 2024, where Trump is leading Biden by 5.6 points, and he's nearing almost 49% of the vote. Where Lake is having trouble, where she's only at 40% of the vote, Gallego's at 45.4. But Gallego's 45.4, when you look back at Biden, is actually outperforming Biden. Biden's only at 43. So it's very interesting to watch and keep an eye on the Senate race, because it's kind of a polar opposite of the presidential race right now. Now, maybe that'll change as like things get closer, and definitely one I'll be keeping an eye on, but it's just something interesting to watch. President Trump is winning a lot of swing states right now in the polls. The Senate elections, not so fast. The Democrats seem to be doing very well in them, so it's very interesting to watch. But nonetheless, that's my video going over quickly, and if I think President Trump can win Arizona, and if so, how he will do it. I can't stress again enough just how important Maricopa County is. That county on election day is 100% the one I'm watching the most in Arizona. If it's going to be really, really close, that means the Democrats winning Maricopa County, and you're looking at the margins of votes and can Trump still eke out a victory? If Trump is winning Maricopa County on election day, we're probably seeing Arizona go red in that 4 to 5% range that Trump can feel much better about, which means he's probably, if he's winning Maricopa County just by transitive properties, probably doing well in Nevada, and he's probably got one of the 3 Rust Belt states, because that means Trump is performing relatively well nationwide, most likely. So that'll do it for today's video. If you liked the video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you have not yet done so. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you in a future video.